Aloha colleagues, and welcome to How to Write a Case Analysis Resource Guide. I developed this guide to help all students that take a course with me as the instructor to help alleviate any confusion with the case analyses assignments in my courses. So the purpose of this resource guide is to alleviate any confusion surrounding the case analyses. I have used this methodology in my face-to-face courses and one other online course, and I feel that developing this guide would help students that take courses in both modalities. I also will go over what assignments this guide is applicable for. We're going to break down the assignment and look at exactly what I'm looking for in the case analyses. I am going to discuss the three types of cases: the problem, decision, and evaluation cases, and then I'm going to break down each of those so we can look at what some of the differences are. And then we will look at the grading rubric for the case analyses. So you're going to know in depth exactly what I'm looking for in your assignments. In particular, there are 5 areas that I'm looking at. And then we'll wrap up this resource guide with a discussion on why all of this matters. I like to use a similar structure in my courses, whether they're face-to-face courses or online classes. This resource guide will apply to 3 separate assignments. So the practice case analysis, it's worth 25 points. It will be the first analysis that you will approach in any of my courses. The second one is the individual case analysis. It's worth 100 points. And the third one is the team case analysis, which is also worth 100 points. I'm developing this resource guide for all the courses that I teach in, but I'm going to use my OC 6444 Creativities and Innovation course as the example. So for students in that class, the practice case analysis assignment is posted on our Blackboard page. And what I've done is copy and pasted the assignment instructions right here in this presentation. So let's go over that, and then I'm going to break it down a little bit farther. So for our practice case analysis assignment, please analyze and write an analysis on the case entitled The Hong Kong Jockey Club from your case packet. Utilize what you've learned from the case study handbook on how to attack this assignment. All assignments must be double-spaced, Times New Roman font, and size 12 text. Please download the grading rubric here. I expect all submissions to be of graduate level work. The grading rubric provides you with the specific criteria I will be assessing in your work. All assignments must follow APA formatting style. Okay, in plain English, the assignment asks you to write an analysis of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, to use your case study handbook to format your analysis. You see several times in the instructions that I mentioned the grading rubrics. That's a really important aspect of this assignment. And then I also indicate some specific instructions for formatting of your analysis. So those specifics are graduate level work, your analysis must be double-spaced, Times New Roman font, size 12 text, and APA formatting style. If you're unfamiliar with the APA formatting style, there is a link in our syllabus to a very helpful website that I even utilize when I'm working on my research that will walk you through the APA formatting style. Once you've read the assigned case, the next criteria that you need to decide upon is what type of case you're analyzing. So our case analysis handbook by William Ellett is the format guide for how I want your analyses to look when you turn them into me. So the author goes through and describes three major types of cases. So there's problem cases, decision cases, and evaluation cases. So each type of case has determining characteristics. I will not tell you what type of case the assigned case may be. I will tell you that I use all three types of cases in my courses. You must be able to determine what type of case it is through critical reasoning and by reading your case analysis handbook. So at this point, you must decide what type of case you're analyzing. And this is important because each case has a different analysis format. The first type of case we're going to look at is the problem cases. So the problem cases have four major parts in their analysis. Those parts are the problem definition, the diagnosis, proof of causes, and the action plan. Now I'm not going to go into detail on these major parts because that's what our textbook does for you. It describes all of those in depth. I do want to point you to the example essay on page 126 to 130. What you will see here is that the analysis is really not that long. One of the major questions that I do get from students is how long does the analysis need to be? Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you. What I can tell you is the analysis needs to be as long as it takes to address each major part of the case. For some students, it will be a lot longer. For others, it will be quite short. It really depends on your writing style and how you are able to draw your conclusions. Another helpful tool that's provided by your textbook is the planning template on pages 130 to 133. This planning template basically provides you with an outline format to help you organize your ideas for actually writing your analysis. So let's take a look at page 130, and what we see here are the problem statements and proof of diagnosis areas, and a lot of these have tables or grids that you can fill out. So I want to remind you that these are only for planning purposes. So I don't want to see the tables from the planning template in your assignment. The tables are here to help you organize your thoughts. I expect your analysis to be written out. So again, this is purely for your own note-taking and organization purposes. I also expect to see each section of the planning template in your analysis. For example, I want to see the major risks and responses addressed in your action plan. Many students in the past have done the action plan and they address the short-term and the long-term actions, but they don't analyze the major risks that go along with their action plans, and that is still a very important part. So make sure that you are addressing every part that's in these planning templates. Decision cases can be a little trickier than problem cases, and the author of our textbook suggests two different ways to attack a decision case. So the first method is called the state and prove model. It has 6 parts, and they're addressed in a particular order. So first would be the recommended decision, which is also your position statement. Second, decision options. Third, decision criteria. Fourth, proof of recommended option. Fifth, the critique of options. And finally, your action plan. The other methodology is called the prove and state model. It also has 6 parts, but you're going to notice that they are organized in a different order. So first would be the decision options. Second, the decision criteria. Third, the critique of other options. Fourth, proof of the remaining option. Fifth, the recommended decision. And sixth, and finally, your action plan. One of the questions that I get from students quite frequently is trying to decide which model to use with a decision case. We see on page 137 the pros and cons of each model, so I'd like to take a minute to go over those. For the state improved model, for the pros, we see that the reader is going to know what you think. You know what you have to prove as the writer, and it forces you to move to proof. So what that means is it forces you as the writer to make a decision and support it very quickly and upfront in the analysis. Less risk, you'll run out of time. That criteria is for students that are writing an analysis in a seated course where there's only a limited amount of time. So that criteria does not apply to us. On the con side, the state improved model can appear less scientific or aggressive in appearance. It can also invite insufficient attention to rejected options. So this criteria is saying that it may not give you enough time to focus on the alternative decisions and craft your response as to why you chose to go with another decision. In the prove and state model, the pro is that to the reader, the essay seems objective and scientific. The cons, however, it says more risk, you'll run out of time, so that criteria doesn't apply to us because we're not writing this analysis with a limited amount of time. But there is more risk that you're going to stray from the intended organization. So more risk that you're going to stray from the format outlined in the textbook. What we do see, though, on pages 145 to 154, there are two sample essays that are provided for you. And each of the essays, there are one state and prove essay and one prove and state model. So you can look and see what type of format works better for you, as well as fits the case a little bit better. We do have planning templates for the state and prove model, and the author provides those for you on pages 155 to 158. The planning template for the prove and state model begins on page 158 and ends on 161. So just a reminder that I do not want to see the tables from the planning template in your assignment. The tables are only there to help you organize your thoughts. I expect your analysis to be written out. And I expect to see each section of the planning template in your analysis. For example, I do want to see the major risks and responses addressed in your action plan. So make sure if the planning template has a specific section in it, make sure that you are addressing it. Evaluation cases have 5 major parts in the analysis. First, the bottom line evaluation, which is your position statement. Second, the evaluation criteria. Third, proof of the evaluation. Fourth, qualifications. And finally, your action plan. I'm not going to go over each of the major parts because they are broken down really well in your textbook, so you can read that on your own. There is an example essay provided for you in the text. That's on pages 171 to 176. And the planning template is provided for you on pages 176 to 180. And again, just a reminder, I don't want to see the tables from the planning template in your final analysis. I expect your analysis to be written out. I also expect to see each section of the planning template in your analysis. So for example, I do want to see the major risks and responses section addressed in your action plan. Now that we've gone over the 3 types of cases and the 3 formats for analyzing those 3 types of cases, so the problem, decision, and evaluation type cases, I'd like to take a look at the grading rubrics that I've provided for you in the syllabus. Okay, I'd like to point out this one major part. So the grading rubric is the same for the practice, individual, and team case analyses. The only difference is the point values associated with each category. So the criteria is the same, the point values differ. So for the practice case, it's worth 25 total points. Each category is worth 5 total points. For the individual and team case analyses, the assignment as a whole is worth 100 points, but each category then is worth 20 points. So there are 5 major areas that I'm going to evaluate on the grading rubric. So the first major area summarizes the context and content of the case. Number 2, identifies and describes the major problems of the case. 3, provides an analysis of the case. 4, provides an action plan for resolving the case problems. And 5, grammar, mechanics, and APA style for references and citations. I will be going over each of those 5 areas next. Here is the visual representation of the grading rubric. This is available to you in your syllabus. It may look a little bit different to you. I had to make it red so it wouldn't blend in with the background, but it is the same exact words and point values from the syllabus. I've stated earlier in this resource guide that the class that I'm using as the example for this resource guide is my OC 6444 Creativities and Innovation course. The rubric that we're looking at here is the practice case analyses rubric. The reason that you can tell that it is the practice one is if you look across the top where it says performance indicators, and then you'll see 5 areas underneath that where it says excellent, very good, satisfactory, minimally responsive, or unacceptable. The point values are quite small. So I mentioned in the previous slide that the practice case analyses is worth 25 total points, and that each area that I'm assessing is worth a total of 5 points. So just so you can kind of see what the grading rubric looks like. This slide shows the continuation of the grading rubric, so the last 2 areas that I will be assessing. I apologize for the small text. It was the only way that I could get it into a slide and still have it semi-legible. So if you have any questions, make sure that you look at the grading rubric in the syllabus where the text is a readable size of font. In the next few slides, I am going to go over each of the 5 areas that I'm assessing and what that will translate to in your case analysis. For the next several slides, I'm going to be going over my expectations for each of the 5 areas being assessed on the grading rubric. So we're going to start with the first area, which is summarizes the context and content of the case. So from the grading rubric, the criteria necessary to earn full points or excellent or the full 5 points for that area provides a very thorough, clear, and concise summary of the case context and content. So this is usually the point that students come to me and they say, Dr. Gibson, I don't know what you mean. What do I need to do in order to make sure that I earn excellent on this particular criteria? So I've broken it down for you. Specifically, I'm looking for 1 to 2 paragraphs maximum at the beginning of your written analysis. It's actually much harder to write a clear and concise summary. Plus, I've read the case numerous times, and I'm guessing at this point you will have also read the case multiple times, so there's no need to write a lengthy summary here. I would much rather you spend your time focusing on the analysis. The second area on the grading rubric that I will be assessing is the category that talks about identifying and describes the major problems of the case. So from the grading rubric, the criteria necessary to earn full points or excellent or the full 5 points is identifies and thoroughly describes multiple problems in the case, which indicates relevant importance among the issues and explains why. So what exactly does this mean? So each case is going to be different. However, the cases always have many factors that are at play and impact the overall case. So my recommendation is to choose 4 to 6 major issues. Some cases will have more, some will have less, but 4 to 6 is a good rule of thumb here. Be sure to rank the issues in order of importance to the case, and then explain to the reader why you chose the issues that you did and why you rank them in the order that you did. So as you're explaining each issue, I should be able to determine that the issues are in the order of importance that you think they should be and why they're in that particular order. The third area on the grading rubric provides an analysis of the case. So from the grading rubric, the criteria necessary to earn full points or excellent or the full 5 points is as follows. Thorough analysis includes all of the following. So first, identified problems are thoughtfully analyzed. 2 analytical tools are correctly applied. And 3, most relevant legal, ethical, or policy issues are analyzed. So what does this mean? So first, students tend to struggle with this area the most. Let's break it down. First off, each issue that you've identified in the previous section needs to be analyzed. So if you chose 4 major issues that are contributing to this case, then you need to analyze those 4 issues. The next part are the 2 analytical tools are correctly applied. So what the heck do I mean by 2 analytical tools? This can be a model, a framework, etc., presented in our assigned readings up to that point in the semester. For example, again, I'm using my OC 6444 Creativity and Innovations course. This is for the practice case analysis. We have the framework of creativity on page 59, the process model of innovation on page 73, etc. Use the model or the framework and apply it to the case. Again, these are just examples. I don't know if off the top of my head if they apply to the case. But the more we read throughout the semester, the more analytical tools our text provides for you to analyze the case. Also, any legal, ethical, or policy issues are addressed. One of the main things that students miss in the analysis of the case is the fact that this is a creativities and innovation course. So I want to see in your analysis connections drawn from course reading and discussions that apply to the case. The next area on the grading rubric that I will be assessing is the section that talks about action plans. So specifically, the portion on the grading rubric says, provides an action plan for resolving the case problems. So from the grading rubric, the criteria necessary to earn full points or excellent or the 5 total points, it must include the following. So first, thorough and cogent discussion of action plan to resolve the case problems. 2, logical rationales provided for the above action plan. And 3, analysis of the evidence that guided your decision making in selecting an action plan. So what the heck does that mean? So first, basically tell the reader how you propose to solve the case issue. This translates into a discussion of short-term, long-term, and major risks and responses. So I'm specifically looking for a step-by-step plan that's clear enough that you can hand the protagonist in the case a sheet of paper, and he or she would be able to follow your suggestions and solve the problem. So I expect you to think like a consultant here. Make connections to the course topics and concepts. What have we learned about creativity and innovation that you could integrate into your action plan that would help solve the case? I do want to point out that this is a very important section, and this is one of the sections that I read very, very carefully in my student assignments, because this is the part where you are able to demonstrate that you understand the concepts from the course and that you're able to create a plan for integrating those in a real world environment. So the final area on the grading rubric that I will be assessing is the grammar, mechanics, and APA style for the references and citations. So from the grading rubric, the criteria necessary to earn full points or excellent or the full 5 points is consistently contains accurate and proper grammatical conventions, spelling, and punctuation. Clearly and consistently uses proper APA formatting for citations and references, and the paper flows logically to convey ideas and is well organized. So what does this mean? So essentially, does your paper make sense? Can the reader easily understand what you're saying and proposing? This is more than just a spelling and grammar check. Please have another person proofread your work. Sometimes we just don't see things in our writing. Microsoft Word does not always catch these errors. For example, policies versus policies. That was an error that I recently caught in my own research a couple days ago. So you can always use the tutoring center for an extra set of eyes to review your work. If you're off island, that is still available to you. There is online tutoring. If you're on island, there is face-to-face tutoring. Either way, you will need to plan ahead for this because there is a small turnaround time. But I highly recommend that you utilize this resource available to you. Also, I'm looking for APA formatting to be consistent throughout your paper. Why does this matter? And for that matter, who cares? So first off, I care, and so do your current colleagues and future employers. So I'm going to break down why this matters and why you should care as well. So first off, cases are the closest things that business schools have to a learning laboratory. We're not considered a hard science like chemistry or biology. We are a social science. So cases provide us with an actual setting, an actual environment to experience and begin to develop solutions to these problems. Employers are looking for specific skills in their new graduates from business schools, specifically critical thinking, inductive and deductive reasoning, an ability to write concisely. These are all skills that are utilized in writing and discussing cases. So, in essence, the real world is full of sticky gray area situations. Can you use the skills to identify problems and develop solutions? And I'm going to put an emphasis on, can you develop an action plan or plans so that you can solve these problems? Also, teamwork takes place in graduate school and at work. The ability to get your ideas across to your teammates is huge. And also, APA citation style is the industry standard for business. It will also save you a huge chunk of time in my courses for the team case analysis if everyone follows the same format. So when you do blend your work together for the team project, it will save a lot of time. So overall, I hope this resource guide was helpful to you. Please feel free to ask questions. I am here to help guide you through your educational journey, so please don't hesitate to contact me.